So my latest repair project turned up this week, and it's going to be the restoration of a vintage 80ST from Return of the Jedi. I picked this up off eBay. It was only a few pounds, and as you can see, it is terribly yellowed. The back of it is nasty sort of nicotine stained colour. The legs aren't too bad actually. It's only the top portions of the legs that are yellowed, and the front and this sort of left side a little bit less sort of stained, but it's still pretty nasty looking. It also has no stickers and fairly floppy legs, which is a common problem with these old 80STs. So this is going to be my next restoration job. The first thing to do is to take it apart and clean it, and then bleach the plastic back to a nicer grey colour. So the first thing we need to do is to take it apart and get it into as many small pieces as we possibly can. One thing to remember when taking apart an 80ST is that the legs, as you can see here, I still have the upper parts of the legs on, are spring loaded. There's a few springs in here, so when you take it apart it will spring apart and fire lots of bits, so just be ready for that when you undo all of the screws. So here I'm about to take out the last screw, and you'll see as soon as I let go of the bottom part of this, it will spring apart, and there you go, all the bits fire out. I'll show you how to put this back together later, but it's just be warned, when you take it apart that does happen. So now I have the vehicle split down into the sort of smallest bits that I can get it into. The main sort of chest section is fairly easy to get apart, so those are nice and easy small bits, as are the top of the legs and the button. The problem area is actually the head of the 80ST. This is glued together, so you can't actually get it apart. So to de-yellow this, I'm going to do it in a larger sort of tub than I normally would do, and I'm going to submerge different bits of it at different times. The tub I've bought is here. It's a plastic lunchbox, so I should be able to submerge the head of the AT-AT into the tub and turn it over as and when different bits of it are fully bleached. This is not the ideal way of doing it. In an ideal world I'd be able to split this apart. I've tried carefully pushing and pulling, but it is fairly firmly glued, and I feel if I push it too far I'll end up snapping the plastic and won't be able to sort of get it back together again. So the only option I've got is to bleach this. It's sort of intervals and do different parts at different times. Actually, it turns out with a little bit more fiddling that you can get the 80ST guy's head apart. It feels a little bit brutal, but if you use a pair of pliers you can place them in various parts of the head and pull them apart, and this will encourage it to come apart. As you can see here, I've already got a large chunk of this figure sort of moving in the right direction. This back section is already fairly loose, and the front is coming apart quite nicely. I was just in the process of doing this section here. Again, if you just use a pair of pliers, you can gently, you can hear it slowly giving away. So I'm going to carry on doing that, and hopefully this head will pop into two sections, which will make it much easier for me to de-yellow. And there we have it. After much wangling and sort of jimmying with screwdrivers, I actually managed to get this apart. The slight problem I had was this last peg here, right in the back. I could not get it to break. It's actually broken now in the end. So I actually cut it, as you can see there. But I don't think this will cause any sort of structural problems when I put the Scout Walker back together, as there are two pegs either side, top and bottom, which I can use to glue the whole thing back together. So yeah, it is a bit of a shame that I had to cut that one peg, but in the end it is apart, which actually makes it much easier for doing the de-yellowing, as I can now just put one half in the hydrogen peroxide at a time. So a little bit more of a faff than I thought, but it is in a part, and it is possible to separate the top of an 80ST. In total, it's taken about a week to get all the parts put through the hydrogen peroxide process. As some of the parts have been fairly large and cumbersome, I've had to keep turning them and making sure every part of it has been well submerged. But as you can see in front of me now, all the bits are back and are looking pretty good. The head was one of the worst areas affected. This side looked pretty reasonable, and this side was really yellowed. As you can see now, overall, it's back to how it should be, a pretty nice sort of medium grey there. Likewise, the sort of chest part of the walker, this was the top section, was incredibly sort of nicotine stained, and now you can see it's back to a nice sort of grey colour. There's still a slight yellow tinge to this. I've left this in for as long as I sort of feel is necessary, and it's just sort of got a bit of a tinge of yellow left on it. There's not much you can do about that. It's still considerably better than it was originally, but you're never going to get all of it away. If you want to watch my video on how to de-yellow, I'll put a link up now. I'm not going to go through the whole process here, but watch that video and you'll see exactly how I do it. It's the same process for figures and vehicles. Right, before I put this back together, I'm going to sort out some replacement stickers for it and put those on before it's all screwed back together, because it'll be much easier to put them on while it's in pieces. I've spent quite a long time looking online to see if I can find some replacement stickers for the ATST. There's a set on Eric Stormtrooper website this is a printout of them, but they're not actually that good. They're very low resolution and obviously have been removed from a Scout Walker and then laid flat and scanned. The quality just isn't that good. So after a lot of searching around online, I found someone who'd taken a photograph of an original set of decals, as you can see here, and I took these into Photoshop and added a bit of more of a mask so you can see the cut lines. You can see clearly on the bit that goes on the canopy. I've sort of lightened the edge so that I know exactly where to cut. Unfortunately, I had a few printing errors. These printed out too large because for some reason when I went to print it scaled everything up. So finally, after a lot of faffing around, here is a set of replacement decals for the Scout Walker. The quality is actually pretty nice. I bought some of vinyl sticky backed plastic paper here, so this is normal paper but sticky backed and with a nice vinyl shiny finish, and this matches the original stickers pretty well. So I'm now going to cut all of these out and stick them back onto the Scout Walker, and it should look as good as new. And there we have it, that's all the stickers put on. This is a much easier job to do when the thing's all in pieces, but especially the inside of the head of the ATSD. There's quite a lot of stickers on the seat section here, and these are always a real pain to actually get in place through the whole of the cockpit. So if you're doing a renovation like this, then it's much easier to get this done like that. Right, so now it's time to put the Scout Walker back together. I'll show you the complicated bits. Most of it is fairly straightforward. The complicated section is the bit where all the mechanics go, which is in the chest area. So I'll show you how that's all done. The rest is just simple screwing together. When putting the Scout Walker's sort of body section back together, it's important to remember a few things have to be up certain ways, and if you get this wrong, then it causes all sorts of problems. There are also a few springs that need to go in place, which are also very key to how the mechanism works. So the bits that the legs attach to are tapered slightly, and you work on the body upside down, so you have to remember that the thinner point of the taper goes up when you're putting this together. There are three parts to these leg sections. You get the end bit with the taper on it, a small sort of grommetty thing, and another sort of plug section. So what you do is you put that section onto the plug, and you make sure that this notch is facing forwards, and you get the wedge shaped thing here and push it into the hole. So you've got the notch facing forwards and the thinner end of the taper facing up, and you put that into the sort of leg slot where it came from. You do the same on the other side, and between these two you need to put this spring, and this is what makes it very hard to put together, because this is a very hefty spring and is constantly trying to push it apart. So we'll do that in a minute. You also have the button section, which is here. So before the button goes on, there is the switch mechanism, which is that, and that needs to sit off to one side because there are two little notches that go into where the button is here. So if you can see on the button, there are some edge grooves that those notches need to go into. So you slot that over there. Then the final piece is what controls the mechanism, and now this is where it gets really fiddly, because that peg has to fit into that sort of socket on the button, and also into the notches on these leg things, and also you need the spring in the middle. So and everything is trying to push itself apart, so it's a bit of a sort of three-handed job, but it can be done. So let's show you how that works. So I'm actually going to take one of these leg bits out because it's easier to work sort of with one at a time. So there you go, there's one of the bits in. Now I'm going to put the spring in here, and this is where it all starts to get a little bit fiddly, as it's now under a lot of pressure. So I'm going to push this one in and hook it in place like so, and now you've just got to get this last peg on the switch mechanism into the sort of notch on the leg. So there we go. So these are now all in, and they're all under a large amount of pressure, and it's desperately trying to ping itself apart. So you have to sort of hold everything at once. There's one final spring that goes in, which is this one, which is what stops the button getting depressed sort of fully. So we're going to put that one in place. Now I'm going to get the bottom of the Scout Walker and push everything together while keeping everything in place like so. There we go, and now should all be in place, and if I press the button you can see the mechanism works. Actually, you can see straight away that this leg has rotated, so I need to take that apart and put that leg back in so that the tapered bit is pointing down. So I'll just do that quickly. Right, and there we have it. It was actually easier to do off camera because it's a sort of three-handed job, but that's it all back together. If I show you the back, it's in stand mode, so now these do not move. If I switch this over to walk and press the button, both the leg mechanisms now work. So I can screw this back together and get on with putting the rest of the vehicle back together. Next up we have the leg, and with the leg it's just remembering which pieces go where. Here we have the left leg of the Scout Walker. So the sort of not shin, what do you call it? The thigh part, you're looking for the thigh part which has the sort of shielding on the bottom edge of it for the left leg. And likewise this sort of joint piece at the top, you're looking for the one that is, the end piece is angled down. And it has to be angled down with the sort of pointy bit, so it goes into the top of the leg, as you can see there. So once you've got all these three pieces, this is a very easy job because they all just sort of clip together. There's a final bit here which sort of pushes through the back and holds that joint piece in place, and then just screw it together. Very simple job. It's just make sure you have them all around the right way, otherwise the legs don't work properly. So here we have all the pieces of the Scout Walker. It just needs to be put back together. Again, a nice simple job this. Let's start with the head. I have the guns that I've removed. You have to remember that these should be angled down, so there is a definite left and right side one. So this is the left side one. They just push in place and still click. And here's the right side one. like so. I've also now got a gun. This is an original gun that I picked up second hand on eBay, so that can go in place there. Should just clip in. There we go. That's nice. Now we have the chest section. I've also picked up a replacement chest shield here. The one that was on here was broken, so this is a nice complete one. So that should look good like so. And let's clip the legs on before I put the body back in place. So these legs clip in to that just like that very easily, and then that joint there just clips over the top. We'll do that on the other side, like so, and again like so. Just clip that on. So now you can see that this stands up quite nicely. Let me just put this on my camera so you can see that stands up quite nicely. And once the head's on, it should be weighted. At the moment it's trying to lean back, so let's just clip the head into place like that. And there you go, we have a fully restored Scout Walker. There we go, you can see it all finished now. So it's gone from looking pretty tatty and worn to looking almost brand new out of the box. The plastic that I repaired on the top and de-yellowed is pretty much back to a sort of standard original grey. The legs are now much tighter as well. Just having taken them apart and re-screwed everything back together always fixes this. And the walking action should work if I just switch that there. You can see that the walking action is fully working, and I'll lock it back in place like so. I'll do your split screen now so you can see the two before and after images, and see what a difference it makes doing a little bit of restoration on it. The whole process has hardly cost anything, because the hydrogen peroxide I use is only £1. It's just time, and also replacing the stickers is a fairly cheap process. You just got to buy some sticky back plastic. But the end result is very impressive. It looks pretty like it's straight out of the box, so well worth doing. If you can be bothered to spend the time, you can get a very good looking Scout Walker for next to nothing. Anyway, thanks for watching.